Kunal and Soha, both of you have turned author with your first book, which is a children's book titled Inni and Bobo. The book tells the story of this little girl named Inni who loves animal and how she adopts a little puppy from an adoption center, and this puppy becomes her best friend. So, who came up with this original story, and when both of you decided to adapt this into a book?
The idea came from me actually because Inaya is somebody who loves reading books and actually not reading but listening to stories and looking at books. But she loves everybody to read her books and tell her stories. And Soha uh, has been from a very early on age been doing that. So what I used to do is I used to make up stories as opposed to holding a book in my hand. I would just tell her stories. I would just make them up on the go, and then we started playing a game where she would just give me characters, like she could say a bunny rabbit, a dragon, and and the sky. So I would kind of make a story on that. And in one such instances, I made a story which was about a little girl who finds this little puppy, and they strike a friendship and they become best friends forever. And every time I would tell her a story, sometimes she would kind of say that, when Mama reads a story, I can see pictures, but why can't I see pictures of these stories? And that's where the whole idea came from. And I was like, I asked, so I said, should we get somebody to maybe draw a book for her birthday for some of the stories that I tell her? And so I said, but why don't we write a book, which is a picture book that, parents can read to their children, because these stories will, resonate with a lot of families. And that's how it started. And then Soha kind of helped me, give the story a form in which it could become a book. And then, people at Penguin were kind enough to kind of get on board and find us a great illustrator in Vishal Chatkara, who's done a fabulous job in bringing how we imagine these characters to be, on paper.
Does being a parent give you a different perspective on childhood and on children literature when you started writing this up?
Well, firstly, you start reading books where the target audience is a child. Why would you do that if you were an older person? Although we still enjoy reading books by Ruskin Bond and Sudha Murthy, children's authors as well as adult authors. But I've found myself reading a lot of things that tackle very basic issues. And you see them from the point of view of a fresh, innocent, unadulterated mind. And then as we become older in life, all our prejudices, all our conditioning affects us. But with young children, really, they have none of that.
I think the best thing about having children is that you get a chance to be a child again yourself. And I think all the motivation comes from there, because, a couple of years ago, if anybody asked us if you were planning to write a children's book, we would have said no. But it just became a part of the process. And I realized that I have so much fun with Anaya, just doing these things, which I had kind of not forgotten, but, like Soha said, you grow up and you don't get a chance to go back to that. But children give you that chance to do that again. I'm very excited to have ice creams with her when it's the time to have ice creams or sweets, or I look forward to going boating sometimes, when you take her, or horse riding. But these are the things that I think she's reintroduced us to again.
Talking about writing, it said that writing is rewriting. Did you have to rewrite Inni and Bobo many times?
Not many times, because it's a very short story. It's only about 2,000, 2,500 words at most, or less. So it only takes that long to review it and edit it. But we wanted to make sure that the style of writing is very simple and direct. That, when children are being read to, they shouldn't say, what does this mean? What does that mean? They can learn one or two words. And most importantly, that they should feel excited or nervous or happy when they read the book.
Has Inaya read the book and does she know that little girl in the book is her?
Absolutely. We were joking because they're learning about storytelling in school as well. And, the principal character, the hero, what does that mean? And she keeps saying, I'm the hero of this story. Because Inni, of course, rescues Bobo. And that's what the hero does, rescues somebody. So it's been important, I think, also a learning for her to see how a book is actually made, what an author actually does, and how your imagination can create something out of nothing. So I think that's been a wonderful experience for her. And of course, she's read the book, she's seen the pictures, and she's very excited to see the things that she also must have imagined when Kunal was telling her the story for the first time, to see Bobo and to see herself.
Every story needs a beginning, middle, and end. How much time you all spent while writing this story? And were there times where you said, okay, let me give a new spin to what you have narrated to Inaya?
Actually, we've thought about this as not just one story, but one in a series of stories.
Yeah.
So there is really no ending. This can go on and on and on. And they can have many adventures, these two. In terms of this, of course, it had to be a finite first. And the basic skeleton has remained the same, I would say.
Yeah, the story didn't actually take a long time to write because, like Soha said, it's not so many words. And we actually wrote this first book, at least the story for this, in less than 2 hours. And then it's the illustration that kind of took a few months to find the right illustrator and then, get these characters right. I'm sure now that the looks and, how everybody looks is set, it'll be a faster turnaround for the second book. And we're hoping to get that out in September. So it's been an interesting journey and an interesting process. And to answer your question, there weren't too many rewrites on it because anyways, it's not a very long story.
Sure. But, and then when is the second one coming up?
We're aiming for September.
Okay.
It's already written. It's already written. So we just have to get the illustrations into place and then get going with that. And then there's going to be a third book also, which we're still kind of figuring out what the story should be.
So we last saw you in Kaun Banegi Shikarwati. Are we now going to see Soha Ali Khan dedicating most of her time to writing short stories for children?
I want to write. I've really enjoyed the process of writing, and I'm so glad that actually we've come up with this as something that I can engage myself with. I will, of course, continue to act, and there's something that will be on Amazon soon, which is in terms of performance and acting. But I do really enjoy the process of writing, and I like that you can do it wherever you are, and you can balance it very well with your other responsibilities, and it's very exciting and creative.
Kunal, you've been busy with your series Abhay and your movie. So what change has Parenthood brought in your life, especially when it comes to selecting scripts?
Well, I've kept professional pretty separate from my personal life. And I think in my personal life, like I mentioned, it's given me an opportunity to be a child again. And I love and look forward to, spending time with her. And if I'm away, I can't wait to get back. But when it comes to professional, I think I've never kind of let anything else but my desire as an actor to find roles and scripts that appeal to me, besides the fact of who I am in my personal life. So I wouldn't want to lie and say that, I've started deciding to do scripts and films that I may have not done earlier. I think anyways, you're bound by the kind of age group that the film is about, and if it is a character that you will be able to do justice to or not. So that math is separate to my personal life.
Both of you gave us 99. That was way back in 2009. It was really a trendsetter because it was a movie I remember released during IPL. It was one of the first movie which was a hit. My favorite dialogue is when Kunal comes and tells Soha's your character that see man जिसने ये मारा है see जिसका हाल मैंने किया है.
Yeah.
We were just watching that scene today. Actually.
We were just watching that same scene today and laughing.
How do you look back at 99 and is there a plan to team up with Raj GK again?
Raj and DK were so refreshing in their writing as directors and producers. Kunal is working with them, of course, and I enjoy watching their content, and I would love to work with them again. I just think that they bring something of their personality to their writing, which is just a little bit out there.
I think it was very interesting working with them because I think they and I instantly connected because their sense of humor is so in sync with how I think or what my idea of humor is, and hence we've always been friends and we've always collaborated on things. Like I've always known stuff that they're doing, they've always known stuff that I'm doing. But to answer your question, yes, I am doing something with them right now, which we've actually finished. It's going to be announced soon. And then the process is always on. Even when we're not actively working, we're always planning of what we should do together. It's only because of the fondness that we have for each other.
Go Goa Gone 2 is that you was working?
I hope I could say that, but no, unfortunately not. And I honestly, to answer that question, I don't know if it will even ever happen because it's to do with things that are beyond my control as an actor.
But I think as fans, we really want to see part 2 of Go Goa Gone.
I'm also.
I
talking
definitely
as a fan.
want to.
I really wanted to see.
I want to see it too.
Talking about stories and writing, can you tell us what is the trick to write a good story? What are the 3 key elements required for a good children's story?
I wish I knew the answer to that, man. I've not worked on anything so technically. I honestly, with this story, and this is the only one that we've written, and I can speak for that, is that it was like a story that came from the heart. It had the values that we believe in. And at the end of it, it was a story that brought a smile to my little girl's face. And I think that that was the litmus test because, that was our critic, that was our target audience. Because, like we said, this is not much of a book to be read yourself, but it's a book to be read to a kid. And I hope that we've been able to be successful in doing that. The jury is still yet to be out on it because the book is just released. We'll see in weeks or months to come of how it's received by children.
I think when it comes to writing for children, and if this is your target group 2 to 6, it can be something that has to be short firstly because their attention spans are only that long, and then evocative because you will often be performing. You will often be reading it out in a way that, they'll be watching your faces to see your expressions and how you articulate the words. So, that's why we try to use words like whiz or use comparisons like, Bobo's fur was the color of a chocolate biscuit. Things that they can relate to, and humor, things that can make them laugh out loud are gold.
Staying with the theme of children's stories, which movies have you shown it to your daughter? And is there a particular favorite film she has or a series?
Series, I mean, she's watching all the key stuff. Her first favorite film was Frozen, that obviously she saw in 3 installments because she doesn't watch TV at a stretch for that long. Other than that, it's Moana is one of her other favorite films. She didn't see the film, but she fell in love with the songs of Sound of Music. And it was insane that a year ago, she knew the lyrics to all of those songs because she would keep listening to them on repeat. Currently, Peppa Pig has been like an all-time favorite. So that's
she's actually a little overwhelmed by the audiovisual medium. She finds it a little bit scary sometimes. The music and some of the themes have, there's pain, there's conflict, there's fear in a lot of them. So she honestly likes things that are familiar. So she can watch the same thing over and over again. And currently it's a show called Gabby's Dollhouse. I'm sure you're not familiar with it. You have no reason to be, but that's what she's watching right now.
And finally, Kunal, you've been doing a lot of comedies. Is that the genre you find yourself gravitating towards the most? And is there a plan now to develop maybe a dark comedy?
I love doing comedies. I primarily love being an actor. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have completely, agreed with you that yes, I've just been doing comedies. But I think with Kalang, Malang, and Abhay, 3 seasons, I've had the opportunity to kind of do something else as well, which I've really enjoyed. But yes, comedy is something that I really enjoy doing. I'm very lucky that I find a larger audience that loves me doing that. And all kinds of comedies I would love to do. I don't think I want to, and I don't think I've already restricted myself to a certain kind of comedy. While I have something like a Golmaal or a Dhol, and on the other end of the spectrum is something like a 99 or a Go Goa Gone. So I've been trying to do different stuff. But like I said, in the industry, an actor is merely a spare part. You need the entire team to find, a place where everybody wants to tell that kind of a story. So yeah, I'm always on the lookout to see if I can do something different within a genre.
Looking forward to lots more from both of you. Thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.